It has finally come back on World of Tanks, and today's update news is going to be covering exactly what that is. And of course, it is the Tanks Reforged and on-track events coming back into World of Tanks. And of course, we have yet again got a brand new, not new, tech tree line, and I'd like to talk about that at the end of this video as well. So let's have a look at what the update information for the Reforged line, which is the TVPT 5051 Wargaming, have given some actual details as to what they'll be changing about all of the tanks in this tech tree line. And of course, it's starting at the tier 10, the TVPT 5051, which is one of my favourite medium tanks in the game, if not my most favoured medium tank in the game. And that is because this vehicle has pretty much everything that you would need as a medium tank, especially considering it's an autoloader. So what is this tank all about? Well, it has basically no armour, but it does have a 100mm kind of fast-firing 320 alpha damage shot, every single shot, and of course it's got 4 in the clip, meaning that you can do 1280 damage in total. And the key thing about the Czech medium tanks is that they get really fast-firing intricate reloads, which means the time between the shells may be 1.71 seconds, but with Wargaming's recent changes and the updates that they're making to the TVP line is that this 1.71 second reload will actually go down to 1.5 seconds, such that it meets the exact same armament as the machine. Because ultimately what happened is the TVP used to have the 1.5 second intricate reload, but it was a little bit too OP, and then what they did is they then changed it to the 1.71 seconds because that made more sense for Wargaming, and then they released the machine, which had the 1.5 second reload that went the same speed and had armor, and basically made the TVP basically irrelevant for the most part. But with the introduction of the reload back to what it actually is at 1.5 seconds, this is going to be really, really nice to be able to pump out all of your damage really, really quickly. And then it also has been that the reload has gone from 28 to 26.5 seconds. So instead of having to wait so long, you're going to have a reduced amount of time between firing your first round and when you fully reload, 1.5 seconds in total, which is actually pretty nice, and that's basically going to boost up your DPM, as you can see here, going from 2,300 all the way up to nearly 2,500. So you've got about a 8% increase somewhere in that region, basically 10%, which is nice. And of course this can be boosted. And which is really nice is that the ammo capacity's gone from 48 to 64, because as I always say, you should never be limited to ammo in World of Tanks. It's so annoying that sometimes they have tanks that are not even that great, and then they limit them by how much ammo you have as to whether you can have a great game. It's just like a complete pointless thing to me, but nonetheless they have made it so that it's not really going to be a problem ever again in the TVPT 5051. Now, the TVP, that's not the only tank that's getting changed. Of course, with all of the on-track events and stuff, you'll be able to get some increased kind of changes or buffs to the Skoda T50, which is nice. And you'll be seeing that the 100mm has got buffs to its reload and its aim time, which is nice. So this is the single shot. And then you've also got the 100mm getting buffs to its reload as well. Now the R11, I believe, is the autoloader version of the tank, or maybe that's the AK1. I know that one of them's the autoloading version. They're basically both getting buffed, so essentially both the autoloader and the actual kind of single shotgun will have increases to its reload. And then I would assume that the R11 is the autoloading version, since it has basically a reduced reload, because obviously autoloaders typically get reduced DPM over single shots, because in essence you're getting way more alpha damage that you can dish out in one time, so it's more of a balancing feature. So I would assume the R11 is the autoloading version, but nonetheless that's getting reduced, which is really, really nice. About, I don't know, like a 5% DPM buff, so it's nothing too major. And then of course you've got the ammo capacity going up by 3 rounds, which is, I mean, okay. You've also then got the top forward speed going from 50 to 55, which is actually really, really nice to see, because this tank is amazing at the tier it is already, so buffing it is going to make it super competitive down at tier 9. So hopefully you guys test out the Skoda T50 and the TVP line, because it is amazing, and it's only going to get better with this update. And of course, then we've got probably the worst tank in the game at tier 8, and that is the TVP VTU. And I'm sure that anyone who has ground through tier 8 on the Czech line, on the medium line, knows exactly about the TVP VTU. And this is a tank that I actually didn't find too bad, but that's mainly because I love terrible tanks, and I mean that pretty much shows you why I enjoyed this tank. But the turret is basically getting traverse speed decreases, view range decreases, and they've effectively taken the upgraded turret and whacked it on as the stock turret. So although they've decreased the statistics of this, they've actually kind of made it in line such that it meets better than the current stock turret of the TVP. So don't worry about this. Although they're going down, they're not nerfing the tank, because at least I hope not. But yeah, I would assume that this is because they're removing the old turret, they're releasing it with the upgraded turret, but slightly nerfed version of the upgraded turret as the stock one. And then you've also got the 100mm getting buffs to its reload, the 10.5cm getting buffs to its accuracy and its penetration, and the 8.8cm getting buffs to its accuracy, penetration, and reload. So it's going to be more accurate, it's going to be able to pen things more, and you're also going to be able to hit things quicker, basically. So you're going to be able to reload faster. So it's a really nice buff in terms of playability of this thing, but it's probably not going to break this new tank. But not only that, the turret armor of the TVP VTU is getting buffed from 65mm on the front to 85, so you've got, nearly a third extra armor on the front of the turret. Not that it makes much of a difference when you've got 85mm of armor and everything you're coming up against is firing premium with 300 pen, especially when you look at the new tier 8 tank destroyer that is completely balanced and completely fair, and not a tier 9 at tier 8. Yeah. Anyway, the side armor is also getting buffed from 40 to 65, so you can bounce a few more rounds off your turret potentially, but I don't expect that you will that much. And then you've got traverse speed from 38 to 42, which is nice. View range from 370 to 380, which is good. 100mm getting significant buffs to its reload, about like 5%. Accuracy is also getting buffed. Dispersion, which means your accuracy during the turret moving, so like if the bloom, essentially how big the circle will get when moving your turret, has also got buffed, so you'll be reduced the amount of spread that happens when you're moving the turret. Then you've got the 10.5, which are also getting buffs, as we talked about previously, but this is with the top turret, so you're getting 5 degrees of gun depression to 8 degrees of gun depression with the 10.5cm, which is amazing. I can't wait to actually try out this tank. It's probably still going to be fairly mediocre, but I definitely think it'll be a hell of a lot more playable, and I can definitely see people enjoying playing the TVP VTU a little bit more than what they did previously, so that's always a good thing. Reload is also getting buffed, and the same with the 8.8cm VZ41N, which is getting pretty much all of the buffs that we've just mentioned, along with an ammo buff as well. And then the Skoda 16-cylinder diesel engine has been removed, because who wants a terrible engine to begin with? So they're just making you be able to use the engine straight away. And then they've got a new top engine for it with 750 horsepower, so maybe a slight increase to its speed. So looking forward to that. Down at tier 7 then, we've got the T34-100, which is pretty much perfectly fine, and it has basically got stock gun penetration increases from 126 to 144, which is absolutely fine. And then we've got premium tanks that are similarly getting buffed, and that is the Czech tier 8 the General T27, which is the auto-loading tier 8 medium tank that's getting a buff to its reload, so you're literally shaving like a second off, so it's nothing too major. Clip rate is also increasing, so you're going to be able to fire off your shells quicker. And the DPM is also getting increased by like, I don't know, 10% or something like that, which is nothing too major, less than 10% even. So yeah, there's nothing too big. And then aftershot dispersion has gone from 3.5 seconds to 3 seconds to be fully aimed as well, which is nice. On track for the TVP T5051 will allow you to get all of these vehicles for 50% silver discount between tiers 3 and tiers 6, and 30% discount between tiers 7 and tiers 10. Of which these are the vehicles that have been buffed. So look forward to actually jumping in some of these, especially with the silver discount. I'll be picking up a load of them, of course picking back up the TVP VTU. And you'll probably see that in a video at some point, probably titled the worst tier 8, because yeah, I guess we'll see how it performs. But of course, with that, you'll get 25% bonus experience playing any of the tanks leading up to the TVP, which is nice, and of course those silver discounts that we've mentioned. If you have any questions regarding the TVP line, I really did enjoy it, so feel free to leave them in the comment section down below and I'll try my best to answer them. But before we end up the video, let's actually have a look at some of the other information, because that is not the only thing to do with the Czech tanks coming into World of Tanks. Well, we are going to be seeing both the TVP VTU, the Skoda T50 and the TVP T5051 entering into post-war. So we're going to be seeing that in Cold War. So you'll be able to play these auto-loading Czechoslovakian tanks, bar the first tank, which is not an autoloader in the TVP VTU. And so, yeah, you'll be seeing these in Cold War. Let me know what you think of Wargaming just re-releasing a tank into Cold War. I guess it's like handy, but it would have been nice to see some new tech tree tanks, even though they like and branch further onwards. I'd rather them see like them release basically all of these tanks and then actually give us some new tanks, as opposed to saying they are new Cold War tanks, but they're not really, are they? Because they're literally tanks we have in the game already. So if you're going to call it new, just say that we're releasing the Cold War Czech tanks. So that's probably better than saying they're new, because ultimately they're not. Anyone that's played World War II has probably played all of these tanks anyway, so yeah, let me know what you think of Wargaming's naming convention. Like, they're not new, and if they were, at least release like tier or era 2 tanks that lead on from these vehicles, because then it would be new. But there we go. I guess you guys can let me know in the comment section down below what you think of that, and we'll be doing a video talking about the game currently, and how it's performing, how you would change it, and what you guys would actually think about the game, because ultimately Wargaming decide whatever they want, and they very rarely listen to the community. So it's time we actually made a stance and tried to do something about it, because it's all well and good at commenting and stuff like that, but if we're not actually being proactive in trying to basically show Wargaming that they're messing up left, right and centre in various different ways, then yeah, otherwise we're going to end up with a game that everyone kind of dislikes loads of various different aspects of it. So hopefully you leave those comments in the comment section down below, and I'll try and really harass Wargaming into listening for once. As kind of a wrap up of the video, let's have a look at what actually was released last week. We had the NM116, which I'm sure you guys probably know is pretty good. It's got a 55% win rate right now. It's #1 damage for all tier 8 tanks. It has the best survival rate of tier 8 tanks. It is ridiculously good in the game, and yeah, to be honest with you, is probably one of the more OP, overpowered, kind of broken tier 8 tanks that Wargaming have released in a long time, because they did not even adjust anything really between it going from Cold War vehicle to World War II. It's like, yeah, it's pretty disgusting in my personal opinion, and of course you have your own opinions, let me know, but other than that, we also have some upcoming updates alongside the Czech tanks, because ultimately it's not all that. We have got the Jolly Roger kind of Pirate Week. I don't even know. It's basically just some Pirate Commander that you can get. But more importantly, we also have the release of Cold War 2 or Era 2 tanks that are coming soon. As you can see by this picture, we've got 1, 2 and 3 new Cold War vehicles. I don't know what they're going to be yet, Of course, you can leave your own speculation in the comment section down below as to what you think they are. Maybe there'll be the additional tanks on top of the Czech tanks, but it would be kind of better if Wargaming just gave us an idea that these will be branching off of the tanks, or maybe they're German tanks. I don't know. Let me know what you think of this. And of course, if you want to cover any of the previous update information, then I will leave a link on the right hand side of the screen right now that you can review. You can have a look as to what came out this week in World of Tanks as of the recording and publishing of this video. And of course, if you want to check out a look at the Rheinmetall Scorpion, which you can pick up for free, and the NM116, I will leave a link to the gameplay and tank reviews playlist, which has both tanks that you can look at within that. So hopefully that's a good one for you guys. And I hope you'll join me back in the next video soon. Goodbye.